There are moments in life that change us forever. Moments when the veil between this world and the next seems to lift just enough for us to glimpse what lies beyond. Such a moment occurred in the quiet monastery of Padre Pio, a man who was not only a holy figure, but also someone who had a profound connection to the divine. His extraordinary spiritual experiences are nothing short of miraculous, but none were as profound or as unsettling as the time he witnessed souls standing before judgment, and what followed left him forever changed. Imagine a cold winter's night, a stillness so thick you could almost feel the weight of it. The wind outside howling against the ancient walls of the monastery, the faint light of a candle flickering, casting long shadows across the room. Padre Pio sat alone in the chapel, kneeling in prayer. But his mind wasn't solely focused on his own petitions or on the faithful who sought his prayers. No, this night was different. This was a night that would forever change the course of his life and his spiritual journey. Padre Pio was deeply devoted to the souls in purgatory, and he prayed fervently for them, especially those who had no one left to pray for them. He whispered, "Lord, have mercy on the lonely." But as he prayed, something began to happen, something he never could have expected. At first, it was subtle. The flame of the candle flickered violently, casting shadows that seemed to dance across the walls. But it wasn't the candle's light that made Padre Pio stop and take notice. It was the shift in the air, the sudden coldness that filled the room. The temperature dropped so sharply that it was as if the room itself was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. His heart raced, but his spirit remained calm, centered in prayer. He believed that the Lord would provide him with the strength to face whatever was to come. As the stillness deepened, Padre Pio opened his eyes. What he saw next was something that defied explanation. In the dim light, near the doorway, a shadow began to form. At first, it was faint, almost like a trick of the light. But as it took shape, Padre Pio realized with growing disbelief that it was not just a shadow, but a figure, a child, no taller than 7 or 8, standing in the doorway, looking at him with wide, innocent eyes. He blinked, unsure if he was dreaming or if the exhaustion was finally catching up with him. But the figure didn't vanish. Instead, it moved toward him with soft, almost imperceptible footsteps, the air around it growing colder, but not in a way that felt threatening. It was as if the child were not of this world, but something beyond it, a soul in transit, caught between the realms. "Who's there?" Padre Pio asked gently, his voice barely more than a whisper, afraid that any sudden movement might shatter the fragile moment. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat a reminder that what was happening was far from ordinary. As the child stepped closer, Padre Pio could see her more clearly. She was pale, almost translucent, like mist rising from a graveyard at dawn. Her appearance was delicate, fragile, and her presence seemed to radiate a quiet sadness, an aching sorrow that tugged at Padre Pio's heart. She held her hands together, almost as if afraid that by being seen, she might be punished. "Father," the child's voice trembled, barely more than a whisper, but it echoed in Padre Pio's heart like a bell tolling in the silence of the night. He froze, his breath catching in his throat. There was something deeply sorrowful in her voice, a cry, a plea that carried the weight of untold grief. But there was no malice in it, no evil. There was only sadness, a sadness that seemed to reach beyond her, beyond time and space, as if she had carried it with her for eternity. Padre Pio tried to speak, but the words stuck in his throat, trapped by the intensity of the moment. He could feel the presence of the child, but it was not the cold chill of fear or darkness. Instead, it was a deep, aching sorrow, the kind that only comes from a soul who has known profound suffering. "How do you know me?" Padre Pio finally asked, his voice barely audible. The child looked down at her hands, then back up at him with eyes that were too old for a child's face. Her gaze held a depth that seemed impossible for someone so young, as if she had seen and felt more than any living soul should have. After a moment's pause, she spoke again, her voice soft but steady. "Because I've been waiting for you." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Padre Pio's heart skipped a beat, and the room seemed to grow even colder. It was as if the child's presence had unlocked something within him, something buried deep in his soul. The candles flickered again, their light dancing wildly in the sudden gust of wind that seemed to come from nowhere. Somewhere deep in the monastery, a door creaked open, though no one was awake to open it. It was a sound that seemed to resonate with the mysterious presence of the child, a sound that seemed to carry the weight of all the unspoken words and forgotten prayers of the soul she represented. Padre Pio slowly rose to his feet, his eyes never leaving the child. His heart pounded, his mind racing with questions he couldn't fully comprehend. What was this child? Why had she appeared before him, and why did she speak of waiting for him? What was it that he was being called to witness? "What is your name, little one?" he asked, his voice a little steadier now. She hesitated, as though speaking her name aloud might bring some form of danger closer. For a moment, she was still, caught in the fragile balance of fear and trust. Then finally she whispered, "Lucia." The name lingered in the air like a delicate thread of smoke, fragile and fleeting. Padre Pio's heart ached with a sorrow he could not explain. There was something in the way the child spoke, something in the way she moved, that told him she was not of this world, at least not in the way he understood it. She was a soul, waiting, lost, but not forgotten. In that moment, Padre Pio understood something profound. The souls of the departed were never truly gone. They lived on, not in the way we live, but in the space between worlds, in the moments when the veil between the living and the dead thins enough for us to see, and for some, like Lucia, their journey was far from over. As the child stood before him, the room seemed to fill with an overwhelming sense of peace. The sorrow that had radiated from her began to dissipate, replaced by something gentler, something more hopeful. Padre Pio knew, deep within his soul, that he had been called to witness something far beyond human understanding, and in that moment, he knew that his life, his mission, would never be the same again. The experience marked a turning point in Padre Pio's life. It was no longer just about praying for souls in purgatory or offering comfort to the living. It was about understanding the profound journey of the soul, about recognizing the truth that death is not an end, but a transition. It is a journey that we all must face, and in that journey, we are not alone. As Padre Pio stood there, gazing at the figure of Lucia, a realization began to unfold in his heart. He had been granted a rare and sacred opportunity, a glimpse into the reality of the afterlife, a reality he had always believed in, but had never before experienced so tangibly. The presence of the child, so fragile and delicate, reminded him of the many souls he had prayed for over the years, those who had passed beyond this world without a single prayer or remembrance. But now, Lucia was here, standing before him, her soul suspended between this world and the next. Padre Pio's thoughts swirled, his mind struggling to comprehend the enormity of the moment. This was no ordinary vision. He had seen many things in his spiritual life, healings, miracles, apparitions, but this was different. Lucia's presence was not just an apparition or a fleeting moment of spiritual insight. It was a real connection, a profound encounter with the divine. His heart ached for her, for the suffering she had experienced, for the loneliness that had brought her to this place. But he also felt something else, a deep sense of peace. She was not lost. She was simply waiting, waiting for the mercy of God, waiting for her final judgment. And in that waiting, she was not alone. Padre Pio could feel the weight of her soul's burden, and in that moment, he understood the depth of the pain that souls in purgatory endured. It was not just a matter of physical suffering, it was the agony of waiting, waiting for redemption, waiting for the grace that would reunite them with their Creator. "Lucia," Padre Pio whispered, his voice trembling with emotion, "you are not forgotten." The child's gaze lifted to meet his, her eyes filled with a quiet longing. She nodded, her face softening as if she had heard those words many times before, words that brought comfort, but also the weight of truth. "I know," she said softly, "but there are many like me, Father, many who wait and who have no one to pray for them." Padre Pio felt his heart break for the countless souls that waited in purgatory, souls that had no one left to offer prayers on their behalf. These were the souls who had no families, no friends, no loved ones to remember them. They were the forgotten, the abandoned. But Padre Pio knew that no soul was truly lost. Every soul, no matter how forgotten it seemed, had a place in the heart of God. He knelt before Lucia, his heart filled with a love and compassion that only a saint could know. "I will pray for you, Lucia, and I will pray for all the souls who are waiting. You will not be forgotten." The child's face lit up with a faint smile, one that seemed to shine with a glimmer of hope. "Thank you, Father. You will help them, won't you? You will help them find peace." Padre Pio's voice trembled as he spoke, filled with a deep sense of purpose. "I will do what I can, Lucia. I will pray for them all." The child nodded, and in that moment, the atmosphere in the room seemed to change. The coldness that had filled the air began to dissipate, replaced by a warmth that filled Padre Pio's heart. He knew that he had been chosen for a sacred task, a task that went beyond just offering prayers for the dead. It was a call to help guide souls on their journey, to remind the living that the dead were never truly gone, and to ensure that no soul, no matter how forgotten, was ever abandoned. The stillness in the room seemed to stretch on forever, as Padre Pio and Lucia stood together in silence, the weight of the moment settling over them both. Then, as suddenly as she had appeared, the child began to fade. Slowly, her form dissolved into the air, leaving behind nothing but a faint trace of her presence. Padre Pio blinked, unsure if what had just happened was real or if it had been some kind of divine vision. But as he stood there, alone in the chapel, he knew deep within his soul that he had been blessed with an experience few would ever have: a direct connection to the souls of the departed, a connection that would forever change the way he saw life, death, and the afterlife. In the days that followed, Padre Pio could not shake the memory of the encounter. It haunted him in the best possible way. He prayed more fervently for the souls in purgatory, especially those who had no one to pray for them. And as he prayed, he felt a deep sense of responsibility, a responsibility to help guide the living and the dead toward the peace they all longed for. He knew that his prayers could not change the past, but they could change the future. His prayers could help ease the suffering of those in purgatory, and in doing so, bring a measure of peace to those still living. Padre Pio's life took on a new depth of meaning after that night. He became even more dedicated to his spiritual mission, offering comfort to the living and the dead alike. He understood that his work was not just about healing the sick or offering guidance to those in need. It was about bringing hope to the hopeless, light to the darkness, and peace to the restless souls who waited in the shadow of death. His encounter with Lucia was a turning point in his life, but it was also a turning point for all who would come to him seeking solace. He became a beacon of hope for those in spiritual distress, and his prayers for the souls in purgatory became more than just a ritual. They became a lifeline that bridged the gap between life and death, and that reminded us all of the eternal nature of the soul. As Padre Pio continued his work, he was often asked about his experiences with the souls in purgatory. He would speak of Lucia and of the many other souls he had encountered in his prayers. He would speak of the deep sorrow he felt for those who waited, and of the profound peace he found in knowing that he had been called to help them find their way to the light. But he also reminded those who came to him that they, too, had a role to play. They, too, could pray for the souls in purgatory, and they could help bring peace to those who were waiting. Padre Pio's life, from that moment forward, became a testament to the power of prayer, the importance of compassion, and the unbreakable bond that connects the living to the dead. And though the world may not fully understand what he experienced that cold winter's night, those who knew him and those who felt the power of his prayers would forever be changed by the love and grace he shared. As the years passed, Padre Pio's experiences with the souls of purgatory became a central focus of his life and mission. His encounter with Lucia, the little girl whose soul was waiting for mercy, never left him. It was a vivid memory that lingered in his heart, a constant reminder of the unseen world that exists just beyond the veil of death. It fueled his prayers, deepened his devotion, and strengthened his commitment to his sacred duty. He became a beacon of hope for the suffering souls of the departed, but also for the living. People from all over the world sought his guidance, and with each person he helped, he would carry their burdens into his prayers. Padre Pio never once faltered in his belief that his prayers could make a difference. He knew that, through his intercession, he could help ease the pain of those caught in purgatory, offering them a glimmer of light in their darkness. In the quiet of his monastery, he would often sit alone, praying for souls he had never met, for people whose names he would never know. He understood the importance of these quiet, humble moments. It was not the grand gestures or the accolades that mattered. It was the quiet, steady prayer offered with a pure heart that made the most significant impact. And so, Padre Pio continued to offer his prayers with unwavering devotion, asking for the salvation of souls, for the peace of those who were lost, and for the guidance of the souls still walking the earth. Yet, Padre Pio's encounter with Lucia was not just a personal transformation. It had a ripple effect on those who came to him for spiritual guidance. His followers were moved by the story of the child, of the souls he had encountered, and the power of prayer. They, too, began to pray more fervently, understanding that their prayers could reach beyond this world, that they could touch the souls of those in purgatory who were waiting for their release. Many would ask Padre Pio what it felt like to see souls standing before judgment. What did it feel like to witness that moment, the moment when a soul transitions from suffering to peace? He would often respond with quiet humility, telling them that he did not see himself as a special instrument of God. He was simply a servant, a vessel through which divine grace flowed. But those who listened to his words could feel the weight of his sincerity. They could hear the deep conviction in his voice, the unwavering belief that prayer, even the simplest, most humble prayer, had the power to heal, to save, and to deliver souls to eternal peace. As Padre Pio's fame spread, so did his reputation as a man of great holiness and deep spiritual insight. He was not just a priest or a healer. He was a bridge between two worlds. He was someone who had experienced firsthand the transformative power of God's mercy. He had been touched by the souls of the departed, and he carried that sacred knowledge with him wherever he went. In his presence, people could feel the weight of eternity, but they could also feel a sense of peace, the peace that comes from knowing that death is not an end, but a transition. Over time, Padre Pio's prayers for the souls of purgatory became legendary. It was said that when he prayed for the departed, their souls would be lifted from the depths of purgatory and brought into the light of God's grace. He would often say that no soul was beyond hope, that no matter how long they had suffered or how forgotten they seemed, God's mercy could reach them. And with that belief in his heart, he continued to pray, continued to intercede on behalf of those who had no one else to remember them. For Padre Pio, it wasn't just about offering prayers, it was about offering a chance for redemption. He knew that his role in this life was to remind others of the divine love that transcends death. It was a love that never fades, never abandons, and never forgets. Through his life and his prayers, Padre Pio became a living testament to that love, offering comfort and hope to the suffering souls of purgatory and to the living souls who sought his guidance. In his final years, Padre Pio would often speak of his experiences with the souls in purgatory. He would tell stories of the many souls he had encountered, each one unique, each one longing for release. He would speak of Lucia, the little girl who had appeared to him in the chapel that cold winter's night. And in his words, there was always a sense of peace, a sense that he had fulfilled his purpose on this earth. His legacy was not just in the miracles he performed or the healings he facilitated. It was in his unwavering faith, his constant prayer, and his deep, abiding love for the souls of the departed. As the years passed, the world around him continued to change, but Padre Pio's message remained the same. Prayer is powerful, and no soul is ever truly lost. His encounter with Lucia had taught him that, and it was a lesson he carried with him until the end of his earthly life. He had seen the souls of the departed standing before judgment, and in that moment, everything changed for him. But it also changed for all of us. For Padre Pio's message was not just about the souls in purgatory. It was a reminder that, in the end, we are all connected. We are all part of a greater whole, bound together by our prayers, our faith, and our love for one another. As we reflect on Padre Pio's life and his profound spiritual journey, we are reminded of the power of prayer, the importance of mercy, and the eternal nature of the soul. His legacy lives on in the countless souls he helped guide to peace and in the countless lives he touched with his compassion. His story is not just a tale of a saintly man, but a testament to the reality of the divine, the existence of an afterlife, and the deep connection between the living and the dead. And as we continue our own spiritual journeys, we can take comfort in the knowledge that we, too, are never alone. Our prayers have the power to transcend this world, to reach out to the souls in purgatory, and to bring peace to those who are waiting for the mercy of God.